Hello, all of you wonderful beings out there, and welcome to the stream. I am Razim, and this is DevTales. With ducks because, well, ducks. They're in the upper right, and meanwhile in the bottom left, we are going to be working on our SCAR system, or Stories and Creatures in Alternate Realities. This system is in open playtest, available through our Discord or now on itch.io. So do go take a look at it, everybody, and let us know what you think. Now, the first thing that I'd like to go over today... Oh, right, we're using the TF talkies today, so you can transport me. Anyways, first thing I'd like to go over is shapeshifting. Speaking of TF... I believe I've got that system pretty well set up, but I want to know your guys' opinion. It is currently on page 100.
I will have to look in a moment. I am finishing up the survey quick here.
Ah. All right.
Unfortunately, I didn't get any time to do it last night because things happened.
I think I shall be going now and leaving you guys to do dev stuff.
Alright.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Kind of weird that that jar just kind of jumped off the counter and rolled away.
I'm gonna go ahead and head out because I have an event at 5 in the morning.
Okay.
Good night,
well.
specialist puppy.
Have a good night. Night.
I like how he reacted to, I like how he reacted to hearing about the key motivations of a 4 complex.
Yes, yes.
I think it was the last part that really got him.
Well, while we are waiting for things with Era, I have been working on moving feats over. We've got most of the affinity feats moved over to the main document. I know that right now they are definitely a mess with descriptions being, you know, things being split between pages and columns, but that's something that we can worry about, you know, when the book gets closer to actually being done. Though I do plan to probably just add in some extra, you know, lines just to try and clean it up a bit. But otherwise, I've been rebalancing a lot of them, revamping some of them. Like Toxic Insides, before it was just a generic, you can poison weapons without risk of failure, and I decided, I'm just going to do away with that. And instead, they could just simply add a extra die of power to weapon attacks. So I'm not certain about how long it lasts. I put in that the poison lasts for 1d10 attacks or until the next rest. It can only be used once per full rest per weapon. Also, Gib Gab, you see, there are elevated levels of cute here, but my non-cuteness lowers it back down to safe levels. But I don't know if you've looked over those, Tal, at all, but...
What were you asking me about?
The feats. What I've been doing for rebalancing them and such.
I have not, because I figured that we'd be going over them here, and I didn't want to read them, only for them to be changed again. If we weren't going to be, you know. I don't like looking at whip stuff that I'm not working on too much, because it's literally going to change.
That makes sense.
I mean, I don't plan on any of it changing without you actually looking at it and being like, yeah, that one's bad.
Well, yeah, it's just that, like, some of the feats that were being trans whatever literally didn't actually give any specifics about what they did in the,
Yeah, and
on the feat thing, so I was just kind of waiting.
Alright, let's see. What page number you at? There you is. I sees you.
Well, the main thing I wanted to start off by talking over was page 100 with the shapeshifting.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I'm currently rereading to make sure that I have a fool.
Google Docs, I know that this is incredibly long. Please stop being mad at me.
You.
Ah,
Yeah, and it's only gonna get longer.
that's what she said?
Oh, hey, Seda.
Hello. Oh, hi, Theta.
Of course you'd
Hey,
show
Seda.
up for the TF.
I'm contractually obligated to,
Yeah.
even when I don't want to be TF'd. Somehow I'm still TF'd.
I'm sure that that is a common problem for you there, Seda, not wanting to be TF'd. All right, so I've looked through it. Just let me know when we're gonna start talking about it.
Yep, I'm reading now.
Oh, thank you, Burb. I mean, this has been, the work of, many hours and hours
And math.
and math.
Lots of math.
Gotta have the math.
Yeah, we've been working on it for over 2 years.
And boy, how it has changed from where we started.
You see, Burb, I also love math.
I do enjoy math from time to time. But sometimes it is too much.
Us dragons make sure it's too much very often.
Bro.
Very true.
Also, yes, bro, that was in fact the me.
Well, while you two or three are reading over the shape-shifting section, I will be right back.
Okay.
Oh God!
Bob it.
I'm playing Trackmania, and the map I'm playing right now looks difficult.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I've read it. At least I skimmed it. I didn't do a deep read because
I did a deep read, but yeah.
I'm not going to have the time to do a deep read because I have to sit there and pause and reread.
Fair.
All right,
I get
so
years of reviewing technical documents.
thoughts?
Well, me and Era are done, so we can at least begin talking about it. So I do know why on multiple of these it says stability cost varies, but we might want to include a range, a generalized range. Because for people trying to run this or use this, just saying stability cost varies,
I mean,
like on the full transformation, it, you know.
well, that one we don't have. I'm still not certain what to have for that one. But like for the adaptive form, it does say later in there, like if you're getting the burrow, swimming, or climbing speed, it's 10 each. Flying or hovering, 25 each.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm just saying, like, at the beginning, where we have the stability cost, if we're gonna, like, standardize having the stability cost there,
Okay.
we should probably put where it generally goes.
Having an example table might actually just be the way to go there.
I don't know. If, we might want to table it, yeah, but, you know, if we have a spot where we're saying the stability, we should at least put, like, a range if it is a range.
There. Stability cost varies from 10 to 25.
Oh.
Obviously, grow or diminish. We've got no idea what to do with that. It's something I intend to include, but not much point until after we actually have rules for different sizes.
Yep. One thing that I will say is that the becoming unstable section. I understand what you're trying to say, but I do think that it is... The one thing that I am thinking about looking at that is that mathematically they are like on these kinds of rolls where like if they double they are they have like a 44% chance
If they're maxed out.
yeah, well if they double technically speaking, because there is not a max of 100. Because now there's stable body, mind, and soul.
Are you saying this, the 44% is good or bad?
I'm bringing that up as us trying to decide where we want that percentage about to sit at.
For when they're maxed out specifically, or at what point?
There is no technical max. I guess, yeah, there is no technical max out anymore. There is nowhere in here that lists 100 as the max.
Well, not 100. Well, is that just based off of 100?
In the example, it was 100, but there's no max of 100.
Yeah, they can go over 100 now. It's going to become more and more difficult the more into stability that they go to maintain control of themselves. But it is intended for it to be relatively low chance for them to maintain control. I don't want it to be impossible, but, you know, having it around 50% chance, I think, is alright. If not a little bit lower, well, 44% is lower, so...
I was about to say, I'm fine with 44. I'd be comfortable going as low as 33.3, but...
Yep. Well, if we want to do that, we'd have to make it 8s, but, you know.
We don't want to make it 8s.
Yeah, we don't
Let's
want to
leave it at that. 44 is fine.
I just wanted to bring it up because, you know, important enough, like, mathematically, if this is about where we want it to be at. I am a little bit confused over your arms off in terms of the mechanic of it. So, I know it costs 10 stability. This ability allows you to true heal yourself for an amount of points equal to your medicine skill. So, like, you know, if you have 2 medicine, you true heal for 2. You may use this ability multiple times with one standard action, though grabbing your severed arm to hold the stump may require an additional action. If you attempt to revert this particular ability, you will regain the damage you sustained, but the healing is permanent upon completion of a full rest. So, when it says cost 10 stability and you can use it up multiple times with one standard action, does that mean that you just rack up a stability cost?
He just updated it to say per use.
Per use, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but yeah, it's, I guess some of these I could do per use on. Like Subtle Shift also would be per use. But yeah, basically it's intended... Like, the arm off thing is just kind of a joke.
Well, yeah, I know it's a reference.
Yeah.
A question based on what I'm reading here. So if you spend 10 stability points to do a change and then you successfully revert it, you get those 10 points back immediately?
Yes.
Okay. The only way that you permanently lose for the rest of the day those points is if you... Well, if you fail the roll, you still revert, but you take half amount those in the change. And I'm assuming those stay until a long rest, right?
Correct.
It does say until you complete a full rest on it.
Okay. Alright. If we're implementing this, we're going to have to start looking at other things to go that do the same thing, then.
Yeah. One thing I want to point out is that Subtle Shift is back to being the best thing in the game with this current worry.
Yeah. Because if you don't have it, you're at a disadvantage. That's an infinite pool. Which is fine, it's just, if we're going to do this, we're going to have to pull the trigger on other things like it very quickly to have a counterbalance. And other options.
Yeah. Because the thing is that now since stable body, mind, and soul exist, as well as Subtle Shift existing, it is no longer required that they actually invest into their secondaries for the cost of like a little bit of XP. And then they have like just a shit ton of +1s to various skills. And a +1 bonus, if they apply it to skills that they have a lot in, like even if they're just going from 3 to 4, that is effectively 20 XP every time they do that.
How would you like to balance it?
So I'm just going to go over the current problem with it, so that way correctly identifying what the issues are. Currently, because you're able to use it like as many times as you want, and it's 10 stability per use, this is the... You know what? I'll just say this is the... In order to standardize it, it's the equivalent of a specialty, which is 15 XP. This is like gaining a specialty when you want... That only gives you the +1 to rolls. That means that in order to be EXP efficient with this, by itself, you would only have to then get up to 40 stability. 40 stability is the point in which you are break even or ahead. So we're probably going to have to go back to the old thing that was the scaling cost of 10 stability per rank or something.
Yeah, 10
stability plus 10 per rank you have in that skill.
Something akin to that.
Because, you know, again, I love the idea of this just due to being able to go through and, you know, have a very reactive and versatile ability to, like, you know, gain bonuses to things. The only downside is just that, like, this is just so ungodly EXP efficient right now.
I'm reading through this, and I feel like the better way to balance all of this is to kind of put it on the same, like, use scale as, like, your soul saves and your will saves. Either a per session basis or a per long rest basis. Because I'm looking, like, back at the, like, reverting your changes. And effectively, if your rolls are good enough, you can shapeshift as much as you want with no limitation, and these abilities become particularly broken. But if it's like, you know, hey, if you can only use, let's say, 100 stability throughout the entire day, it becomes a resource that you have to manage. And thus, you know, that +1 is nice if you use it right, but it's not going to be a must pick every single time.
I will say we did bring up the possibility of having it be its own resource thing originally, but yeah.
Yeah, we just need to make sure that when we're building this, that it's not that it doesn't become an infinite thing where there's no reason to ever invest in a skill or anything, because why? You can just shift into it. And then you get your points back. So if you no longer need the skill, dump it. It's fine. I'll just go ahead and get these skills back really quickly. And I'm just going to go and grab this skill. So I have every skill, basically.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm also going to jump on Taldarius' thing. I don't like the idea of stable body, mind, soul. Because it does take away from the idea that you're supposed to be investing in those secondary attributes.
Well, I see where he's coming with the use of those, because it's just a mimic of the healthy body, mind, and soul that already exist. So I could see it's... I'm fine with that. I guess my worry is that it's just an infinite resource.
Yeah.
And unless we introduce other infinite resources that do the same thing into the game for other things, like a combat-oriented one or something like that, this becomes something that everybody just has to have, and if you don't have it, well, you're the weakest person in the party. You're never going to do anything.
I will say I don't have a problem with stable body, mind, and soul, like by itself. I'm just being cautious about it because of the other abilities that are costing a certain amount per use and how exactly that's going to scale with stable body, mind, and soul being included.
I feel at the very least, stable body, mind, soul should not be 10 experience. I feel like for what they are providing in terms of adding to your stability, that is a little bit too much of an easy pick for 10 experience points.
Alright, thoughts on that from the rest?
On one hand, it doesn't do much by itself. On the other hand, it like hard scales and enables other things. So it's a bit hard for me to tell, because on one hand, it doesn't really... It does fucking all by itself, mostly. But it's when you start investing in the other things, and you're able to, like, you know, do stability per use.
It's
like...
if you min-max, it becomes good.
It becomes so unreasonably good if you utilize it properly. But if you're not utilizing it properly, like, it is very fairly costed. It's just a question over, are we going to balance things around, like, people not thinking about everything they can do with it, or are we going to balance it around, like, you know, the fact that even just if someone doesn't want to interact with the shape-shifting mechanic itself, they would still want to invest in like 60 XP into this in order to get shape-shifting your arms off and stable whatever their primary is. Because why wouldn't you want to basically be able to grab 2 points in medicine for 15 EXP normally, which is probably good to have a couple points in anyway. And then, as a part of a standard action, you could full heal, like, your entire health bar once a day. You know what I mean?
Okay, I'm hearing a lot of theories right now about what people could do, but the situation is, how do we go about fixing this? I will say I do not want to do a hard limit on the usage of it. That is something that we've kind of made not a thing in the system as a whole. Like, healing, for example, you could just heal and heal and heal and heal and heal all day long. Especially when you get to true healing, and then it's just, you know, after every combat, the healer with the true healing move is just going to full heal everybody up to full. Which is something that I've not been entirely thrilled about, but it's, you know,
it's what it is. Yeah.
It's what it is.
See, the thing that we need to really make sure that when we're doing this is that we don't make this the thing that you have to have, otherwise you're going to get left behind.
Yeah.
So, subdual shift, I agree with Taldarius on, though, we need this to be like 10 plus 10 per rank that you're going to, or something like that specifically, to make it more expensive, so that way you can't just sit there and be like, well, 50 in here, I have 5 dots in the skill now, and then you just shift it around, and congratulations, you're the go-to for anything, all rolls, always, because To other players, that's not going to be fun, and somebody will do it.
Yeah, and that's where I personally lean towards thinking about the stability as something more like how you count your soul saves, where if you invest into it, you can make a lot of rerolls over a session. But if you're just the starting character and you don't invest anything into it, you can only do basically one reroll per session. I feel like limiting this to a growing scale, that, you know, when you invest your secondary or even with the primary attributes into there, you have a larger pool to work with. You can shapeshift more and more per short rest or long rest.
Your arms off doesn't bother me at all. The way it's worded with the way that we have healing, it's perfectly in line with everything.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about that. Stable Mind, Money, and Soul, I'm not as worried about either. It just depends. Go ahead, Tal. Sorry.
I was just more pointing out how you would basically... There's... The one problem I have with it is that it doesn't interact with the base default ability of shapeshifting.
What do you mean?
Because while it uses the stability mechanic, this is... It doesn't really feel like it's interacting with it in more than a flavor sense.
I'm going to point out very clearly here that that was inspired by Shade.
I know where it's coming from. I tried to make a normal healing move with that, but like, you know. The thing that I'm thinking about is because the thing with Shade is that it is just flavoring for something that, like, he purchased. The flavoring is just that he was using his ability in order to do it instead of, like, a move. That was just, like, a flavoring thing. And I definitely get the inspiration. And, like, I don't mind that we're going this direction with it. I just want it to actually feel like it's using the mechanic for more than a flavoring explanation. If that makes sense.
The entire idea here is you are able to shapeshift, so, oh, you've got an open wound? Well, you just shape your body so that wound is now closed. I don't know how much more interactive it could be there.
Okay, let me try to explain it this way. The rest of these are things where you're supposed to swap in and out of in order to play with your cap and, like, get things figured out. This one doesn't feel like it's something that you play around with your cap with. You just take the damage and you let it sit there.
Okay, so it's the fact that it basically locks it away by its... it just outright locks it away.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't interact with the base mechanic. Beyond, like, it's a flavoring explanation. It just, like, you know, you take the damage, and you get enough damage on you, and you're like, okay, well, I need to have health back, like, right now, so I spend a single standard action, go back up to full, and use up, like, all my stability. And then it sits there.
I'm not sure how to go about... Okay. Real quick. Let's put a pause on this. Because we have been jumping around between all of these different things, so let's go ahead and focus down. First off, stable body, mind, soul. People are generally okay with that. I'd be willing to bump it up to 15 XP each.
$10. Yesterday's tradition is Whiskers continued good ghost health.
Thank you for that tip, Geemond. Yeah, the tip goal is currently so Whiskers can get some medicine, so if you guys can help out with that, that would be appreciated.
Can I be heard right now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, just making sure. My headphones have been weird recently, especially since I've been at the office. Okay. Well, let's bump it up to 15 for now and see how we feel about it after some playtesting gets done. I'm not horribly upset with 10, but I see the point where maybe it's a little too cheap considering that the mind body health stuff is a little bit higher. I know the idea is to have it cheaper because you're in this path, but maybe a little bit more expensive.
Yeah, I'm fine with 15.
Alright. Second thing that kind of occurred to me during this discussion about that is, should we remove soul from it? I'm 50-50 on this. The reason why I would say to do so is because of the fact that there's a lot of mechanics in this that already rely on your soul save. And so I feel like it might be double dipping if they can also put their soul towards their stability.
What do you think, Tao?
Like, the positive for keeping it is simply uniformity, you know? It'd be kind of weird to have one attribute just not able to add into this. But on the flip side, it is basically double dipping when they invest in the soul.
Okay, so alternate idea, instead of having it scale off of soul, since, like, you know, by default, it only uses the secondary attributes until you invest in the stable primary. Why not just have it be that the roll takes the higher of your vigor or will? Like, for, you know, the roll to see if you can undo it or not. Because if it's scaling by base off of your secondary attributes, I feel like it should still scale off of your secondary attributes, and that gets rid of the problem of double dipping and gets rid of the problem of it just being randomly left out singular.
I like that idea. I like that idea a lot.
So, just as a deposit, just moving forward with this, just remember that whatever we do here, we're going to have to do with every other primeval. Oh, my brain doesn't want to remember words. Feature. We're gonna have to stage everything the exact same way. So.
Yeah, that's why, like, right now, I think what we've got so far with initiative and natural defense are good as is. But part of why I am so particular about shapeshifting is I got a lot of ideas for primeval features. One that I want to make involves telekinesis and telepathy. You have gained a Raijin. Mwah.
Yep.
Hi, Rai.
Alright. Hi, Raijin.
But like I was saying there is, I want to make sure that we have a good baseline so that way I can balance future ones based on how we balance this. So, Raharu?
Yes?
Please make note that we are changing soul save from being... we're changing shapeshifting from using soul save to using the higher of your vigor or willpower.
Also, is that Era doing the whole crackle?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I think he's outside.
Headset is being weird. Yeah, I got myself a wine-flavored cigar. And it is not as tasty as you think. You'd think it would taste like wine, it just tastes like sugar.
I personally don't like the taste of wine, so, you know.
Gasp.
I like wine, but
uncultured.
Not this. Ugh.
I suppose I should clarify, I haven't tried many wines, and I'm willing to try others, but the couple that I've tried, I did not care for. I also did not like champagne.
You know, but bubbly is overrated. A good wine pairing, like a good red wine, like a Malbec with a steak. Oh,
But I like a Rosso. I love B-Rossos. Okay.
All right. So, now that that's been handled, subtle shift, I definitely will say, like, it needs to have a scaling cost based off of the thing.
I am definitely okay with that. I'm just... I mean... 10 times the dot that you're getting, I guess that isn't too bad. Because if you are getting 5 dots, then, you know, that is...
Yeah. 10 plus 10 per dot you have, I think, is a better way to put it. That way they could still use it if they're at 5 dots. And if they're at 0, it still costs 10. It has the same cost all the way through, but they could still use it if they have 5 dots.
basically you're paying 10 stability to increase it by 1 level.
Yeah, it's just a wording difference that matters. So it needs to be 10 stability plus 10 per dot you have currently.
Furry. You can't do that to me.
What did Furry do to you?
Cabernet Sauvignon with a nice steak. And I know I mispronounced it. I always do.
I do not have an opinion on this, as I never drank wine.
I'm not going into it. The alcoholic can shut his face for once.
But yeah, getting back to it, 10 plus 10 per dot you currently have. I think is the best way to word it. That way they can still use it.
All right,
and
also
also
with
if it's,
that.
Yeah. Basically, it's just a less ambiguous wording. It's a little bit more, like, you know, like, I guess wordy, I guess, but.
Excuse my cough today.
Bless you.
Not sneezing, unfortunately. Well, actually, fortunately, I was sneezing in the morning, and then one of my coworkers opened up a package of expired something, and it made the entire area smell like a gym that hasn't been washed in a while. And I've been coughing ever since. It was gross.
That's burial.
I don't like being in the office. My coworkers are idiots sometimes.
Alright, cost 10 stability plus 10 per dot you currently have per use. And the skill you are increasing. God, it is so hard to remember not to do contractions. I am so used to using contractions, but Greaves is meant to be the writer of this, and Greaves does not use them.
You're learning how to write technical documents. Now you have to avoid the words you and I entirely.
No, I'm going to be using you.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to fly in a ttrpg doc.
No, I'm just joking.
Okay, is everybody good with subtle shift as with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Alright, so moving on to your arms off. One thing that I think I will be removing is the ability to use it multiple times with one standard action. So I'll just remove that part, but what else is... Also, it bugs me that it's your arms off, but that is the quote, and I don't want to separate it to arm is, but oof, it bugs. Anyways.
Increase the joke. Do your arm, parentheses, is off. With no space.
Alright, there we go. Using this ability requires a standard action. Were there other issues with this? Like, I know you've got this idea that, you can revert it and then go do something else, but I don't know how we could balance that.
Yeah, well, technically speaking, right now, I guess you can revert it, but, like, you'd take all the damage
Well,
at once.
here's a posit with this particular ability. You could always add on to it that reverting it, you only get half the points back or spent or something like that until your next rest, because you gotta be eating up your physical and mental reserves doing this. That would discourage people from using it and then, oh, I need 5 skill, or I need a couple of skill points. I'm just going to revert it and then re-heal afterwards because I can go a couple of rounds at, 1 hit point.
I don't think that's what... I think Tal's issue is that people don't feel like that's an option, really.
Yeah, like I kind of personally see this as more of it should be the oh crud kind of ability. Like this requires a high level of mastery of shapeshifting to actually get done. Because hey, it takes one thing to do subtle shifts of your form, but looking at those two, I say, you using your shapeshifting to heal yourself should require a lot more stability than a subtle shift. They cost the same amount of stability to use. I feel like the way you balance this is make the stability cost higher, but also limited to, either once per scene, or make it based off of one of the secondary attributes. Because I could see this being used, I'm just going to toss a random number out there, 50 stability, to something that might push you over and make you unstable, but it's better than dying. That's my kind of feeling on that ability, is that I feel like the stability's cost is too low, and the uses of it should be capped in some capacity.
Well, the thing... it's just... On one hand, I don't want to, cut it off at the knees so it's, completely fucking useless.
Yeah.
It's just, I want to find a way to make it more interactive than it currently is.
So, I want to put this into perspective here. The cost of it with the shape-shifting, picking up shape-shifting itself is going to be 50 XP, which is equal to the cost of getting True Heal on a move.
Well, changing a move to include True Heal, it's technically a little bit more expensive to get something that actually heals.
Okay, so technically you're right, and it would cost 6
XP more.
Yeah, 6 XP more.
And you can spam that, technically.
Yeah, you could use that all day you want, as much as you want, all day long, And just, there you go.
I think, personally, I'm fine with it. Especially since, with it, if you heal yourself, you have to hold on to those stability points to remain healed. So that turns the stability into a resource. If you use it that way.
To that point, why not make the stability itself an entirety of a replenishable resource pool as opposed to essentially a gauge that you have to balance?
Well, a gauge is a resource pool. It's just a soft pool instead of a hard pool.
Yeah.
I guess why don't you make stability a hard pool as opposed to a soft pool?
Oh, because Zim wants to make sure, and his point was that you can spam moves all day. So there is an argument
have
for
like
that.
a PP mechanic or something, from like
Yeah.
Pokemon.
So we have nothing limiting moves. So really, technically, if you got a move that ups your one of your skills or gives you a boost to like your soul save or something, you could spam that all day safely. So I understand why we don't want to, but at the same time, and I think it's going to get better when stability starts getting used in other things like this. It's just right now with it being by itself, it's an intimidating thing because this is the only example we have of it, and if you don't take it, you're at a disadvantage. But the plan is to have other things like this. So it's kind of one of those... It's a situation where we could go either way with it, but whatever we do here, we're going to have to do for everything else that's going to be in this category. And right now, as it sits, if this is the only thing that's there, it's basically going to be like, well, you have to take it. You'd be a fool not to have this. So I can see why we don't want to make it hard pool. Definitely a big argument for it. It's just that we're going to have to make sure that everything else fits the same bill.
Okay, so if we make this a hard pool, everything else in this section is going to also have to have a hard pool.
Or if we leave it as a soft pool as it is, everything else will also have to work on the soft pool mechanic.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's just when you're looking at it when it's by itself like this as an add-on that you can have, you would be left behind if you didn't take one of these things. So we have to also think about that. And that's going to be going forward with any of the primeval things, honestly, at the end of the day, is if all the primeval things have these like little lines and stuff, if they all have soft pools, you'd be fooled not to pick up something.
I mean, when it comes to your arms off in particular, 6 XP more, and you've got yourself a true heal move that could potentially heal even more. Because while this one is equal to your medicine skill, a healing move is half soul plus medicine, I believe is what we had it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, in that case, it is...
Plus medicine plus heal power.
Yeah. So, you got at least one heal power from the move itself, and you can just spam that all day. Honestly, when it comes to your arms off, while, yes, the only advantage to this is that it's available earlier on.
Yeah.
Because it's not limited by your, the power cap, or the XP cap for a move.
I'm personally fine with the way it is.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not overpowered. My entire thing right now is just that it's not interactive, and I did just come up with an idea. Because like the current thing is that technically speaking, right now, The most interactive you can get is, like, you know, if you don't exceed your health cap, after the fight you can, like, heal it away and get all that stability back after a little bit if you have, like, true healing on your team somehow. What if we basically do a thing where we could, like, I know this is a reference, but also we could make, what if we make it so that way the damage stored up in this could be somehow released or used in other ways if you burn all of the stability until your next long rest that you've used with this.
You might need to give me an example.
Yeah, I'm with
so, like,
there on that.
Give you 1 sec.
Yeah. So, I know we already have things where, like, for example, you would burn, like, you know, if you fail to revert back, like, you know, you revert back, but you burn half of the stability cap as just, like, that's just burn stability until you rest, right?
Yes.
So, if the current thing is just that, like, you know, you use this thing, and you, like, there's entirely a chance that you can't revert back. What if, or revert back just because, you know, there's too much damage. What if, in order to make it interactive, at least in some way, we lean into that, and basically have it be like, you know, your transformation thing has stored up this damage that you've taken, and you're going to try and, like, pass it along as an attack or something. In exchange for converting all of the stability you're using on that right then for burn stability.
I mean, I can already think of an ability name for it. Bleed on them.
Yeah. Well, but, like, you see what I mean when I'm saying, like, I feel like if we could just, like, figure out, because the point is, the problem right now is just that it's not very interactive, and it just kind of sits there. So what if we make it sitting there as a used resource actually be the interaction, and have it be useful if you use it for that?
We could create or give it as a secondary ability and call it, now I'm going to beat you with my arm.
Well, it would be, what I'm thinking is that it would be a second, you know, another ability that you know, another extra ability. So probably would have the prerequisite of you have to pick up your arms off, because otherwise, well, it would be useless. Which would be the first prerequisite one, but I'm okay with having some prerequisites. I was thinking that anyways with the telekinesis and telepathy stuff.
I do remember us already talking about how we wanted to use this for this, like, you know, features for our upgrade tree stuff.
Yeah, have more flexible features, basically.
Vari says, oh my gosh, this is some Inuyasha Blades of Blood nonsense. I am absolutely all for this.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm just trying to think about a way to make this very, like, make it interactive in some way. Because you know, obviously I like the base idea for this. It was, like, I could instantly tell where the inspiration came from, and it was from one of my characters that does this exact gimmick as flavor. It was just more of, like, how do we make this interactive with the system? And I think this is probably the best way to make it interactive somehow without changing much about the actual ability.
Okay. I'm not against it. My only concern is how to balance the damage and such, but I do also want to hear from, you know, Sada's thoughts, because Sada's kind of had the... I don't like doing the... Yeah, I know he BRB'd, but I don't like feeling like I'm calling him out, but he's kind of had the most issue with it as is, so... want to make sure that, you know, everybody's good with that and stuff.
I'm back, sorry about that.
No worries.
Welcome back.
So, the current proposal from Tal which we'll need to figure out how to balance, is a second extra ability where the stored damage from your arms off can be utilized to deal damage to an opponent. But it would mean that you burn the stability, so you cannot just drop that, drop that stability away and revert the wounds altogether. Or, regain the wounds for somebody else to heal you.
Until you full rest. Basically, let's say that you use this and you've burned 40 stability on it. Well, you've used 40 stability on your arms off. And you have all this damage that you have stored up. My idea for how to make it interactive is, what if you could until the end of the day, burn that 40 stability and use it as a part of an offensive action. Like, trying to transfer the damage or wounds or whatever flavor explanation you want to go with onto a target. So that way, it's leaning into the fact that normally it would just either sit there or get full healed, but it was sort of like a binary. What if we make that, like, the actual interaction here? I do have an idea for how to make it work. I'm just, base idea.
Everybody in the room slowly moves to look at Seda.
Yeah.
Why are you looking at me?
Well, you're the only one who hasn't given input right now, so.
You've also kind of been the most uncertain about your arms off in the first place, so I want to make sure you're comfortable with that and stuff. And
I mean, I will be honest. Taldarius' suggestion is making me lean more towards remove this entirely.
Also, that was an adorable laugh, Seda.
So, why?
My reasoning why is we're taking a effectively one of the abilities out of the many abilities in the transformation themed primeval feature that itself is not actually transforming the character. It's just a application of what a true shapeshifter could do, and we're trying to find ways to balance it because it's it does provide true healing, and we're now trying to take that damage and add an additional ability on top of that to kind of balance how you take the damage. I'd probably lean toward just take the healing out of it entirely, take your arms off entirely, and focus more on the actual character transformation as opposed to trying to provide healing in this primeval feature. As you said, you can have true healing in a move, and hey, you might have a primeval feature that might be more around healing. I feel like the focus on trying to balance this takes away from the transformation themes of the entire primeval feature, where we could be focusing more on how can we get things like shuttle shift to be more interactable, not just a default go-to. How can we make full transformations fun and interesting, as opposed to yeah, you can heal yourself.
So, like, the main inspiration was Shade for including your arms off in the first place, but a traditional example of transformation in media, werewolves. And a very, very common theme among them, in fact, I don't think I've ever seen any werewolf that can't, is the ability to rapidly regenerate. It's like, if you've got that mastery of your form, okay, your arm's been cut open, okay, I just will it closed.
I go back and actually do a bit of reading.
Sorry, what?
I'd actually like to go back to a previous primeval feature in terms of natural defense? Because I know we were kind of talking about earlier about consistency in the systems. Like, what is the recovery rate for natural defenses?
By default, 1 per long rest.
I am going to point out that natural defense... Oh, bye, Avi.
Bye, Rex.
No, Avi is escaping.
The duck. But also Rex is going back to work.
Oh yeah, that too. But Avi has gone to the ocean and is sailing away.
So the Avi returns to his natural habitat.
Sure.
Sail away from here.
Oh,
It's time
there
for Abby
is
to become a
some...
little rubby shark.
I'm getting some interesting views from under here.
The duck has distracted successfully.
Yes, sorry. So I do want to point out that natural defense is going to be a bit of an outlier compared to the rest. I'm wanting to build... It's a very different mechanic and not something that will be repeated. I could see us putting in a mechanic in shapeshifting that, you know, requires natural defense where you can regenerate it that way, but that's kind of aside the point right now.
Yeah.
But
especially considering that natural defenses does not need to have a physical component. It is also, like, as a part of the thing. It could just be heightened reflexes or, you know, things like that, which would not be regenerated, at least thematically, by transformation as much. So it is also just, like, you know, some manner of extra natural defense that your character has and need not be any sort of, like, scales or armor.
My line of thinking with that is if, you know, you have, like, on the natural defense side, an element of, you know, recovery of your natural defenses, why not, you know, as an alternative, you know, make this aspect of shapeshifting an unlockable passive, where, you know, maybe it's 30 XP, 40 XP, and your character naturally recovers 5 true healing on a short rest or something like that. However you want to balance it. Because I definitely agree with the idea of leading into a faster healing factor that you typically would see with, like, you know, lycanthropes and stuff. But I think going, you know, to the extreme flesh bending that you can just will a wound close just like that, I think is leaning too much into the flavor and is, as we're seeing now, going to be a little bit difficult to balance.
Well, the balance itself is fine. It was just more about making it more interactive. Like, it's not overpowered because now you also can't just instantly jam it for everything it's worth. So it's not unbalanced at all, actually.
No.
In fact, compared to true healing or something like that, it's a little bit weaker right now.
I will say that if Tal is saying it's not unbalanced, I'm gonna just go with his word on that, because he's the numbers guy. He is the one that sits there and calculates and runs tests and mock battles and all that other stuff. If he doesn't think it's unbalanced, I think he's right on that. I wouldn't be against changing it to a regenerating thing. I don't know about the short rest because you already do have the ability to regenerate health anyways with a short rest. But I could see maybe every turn you regenerate a point of health. But I feel that might be more unbalanced, honestly, because then I'm not sure how we'd include stability with that. And thus it'd just be like, okay, after every battle, you're 6 seconds and you're good to go. Well, maybe not 6 seconds, but you know, before the next battle, you're probably going to be at full health.
I will just reiterate, like, the only real problem with it is just that it was the most non-interactive of the things that you could actively use in the extra abilities. So that's why I was trying to figure out a way to make it more active. Like, because currently speaking, there is 2 passives, which, like, you know, that's fine if they're passive. There could be helpful passives. One is to increase your pool, and the other one is that if you do lose control, you won't, like, instantly freak out and, like, attack your nearest ally. Where, like, one of them increases your pool and the other one reduces the risk. So, like, those are perfectly fine to have as passives. Everything else in here has a stability cost, and the only one where it wasn't really interactive with things as much was your arms off, which is why I wanted to propose providing a secondary use or an upgrade to it that also costs an additional, in order to have it be interactive, because the balance itself is fine. It's just that it was the least interactive.
I'm personally okay with it as it is. Like,
Darius suggesting does add in a bad burn-in mechanic too, which is nice.
It does.
The burn-in mechanic is already introduced. I'm just trying to use it in something.
Yeah.
I'm not so certain about that personally. I think it's fine just having it as it is. But that is... well, that's why we have these discussions. Like, I'm not... well, I don't know if we're going to go the route of passive regen anyways, Furry. But, yeah, like... I'm not beholden to the idea of adding in a burn-in mechanic, but there's a reason I'm not the only dev here. Sometimes my hesitations may just not be for what's best for the system.
I'm just wondering, like, will this impact healers anyway?
Not really.
No, because this doesn't say that you can heal other people. It says you can true heal yourself.
Oh,
so
okay.
At most, this is just a method of, like, shapeshifter characters to have more staying power, which is really important for them, because unless they start picking up the stable primaries, they aren't going to have as good direct defenses. So this does provide this character archetype, like someone heavily going into here, some amount of staying power, which is why I say it's not unbalanced. As well as just the fact that, like, you know, compared to true heals, it's, like, you know, on a move. It's still... it's easier to get it to be more effective in terms of, like, you know, short gains. But in terms of overall utility, it's a lot less. And it wasn't very interactive, which is what I saw was the... in my opinion, it wasn't very interactive, which was the main point that I was trying to address. So, right now, by itself right now, it is balanced and fine. It was just me trying to add in a utilization of a mechanic that's already in shapeshifting in order to make it have an active component.
No, and the way it's worded, it locks in the person's shapeshifting stability points in order to remain healed. So no, the healer would still be able to come in and heal you if they chose to and unlock those points for you.
Okay.
You just have to do it slowly and carefully.
Yeah, it becomes more of a methodical process.
I just want to make it clear what I'm trying to address here.
Yeah.
And that's fair.
So right now, it sounds like 3 of us are all for it staying as is. One or I mean, 2 of you, it sounds like, wants to add in another mechanic or just one. Is this gonna have to be a agree to disagree kind of situation, Seda, or is there a way we can balance it to be more okay with that?
For me, I'm kind of gonna agree to disagree, because for me, I'm gonna have to reread over just the stability mechanic itself, because reading through it the first time, I feel like there's a little bit too much nuance and technicalities into it, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to kind of distill the ideas down without, essentially needing 10 pages of rules. It's not 10 pages right now, but just...
I think it'll help when we have more things using it than just shapeshifting. I have a feeling that stability, or at least the concept thereof, is going to end up being reliant on certain stats for some of these and other stats for other things like it, and it'll probably end up being universal if we keep on this theme.
And I agree with that. I think the issue is that since it's just a new concept that we're going for, there's not a lot of data we can use to have more of this feature being used.
It's a precedent. We're setting a precedent.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel all official yet?
I've always been official.
Officially cute.
Don't make me put on my corporate hat.
Alright. So I guess the next point is I'm personally against adding in the burn thing. I think it's fine to just leave it as is. But I know, Tal, you're for that. Era, which way are you more leaning on that?
I like it. Anything that burns resources, I'm happy with as an ST/GM. And my GM hat is on, it's just like, yes, how do I make the player use that?
And just to make it clear, like, my suggestion for how it would actually work on transferring the damage, it would be a roll with a power equal to the damage you're trying to transfer, but it works under condition damage, so it bypasses integrity.
How about this? Let's put it as a side idea for now, and we can revisit after we get other things in, and we have more of an idea of where the balance is going to be.
Yeah. I just wanted to also get out, like, what my idea for how it would even work would be, just in order so that way people could actually also think about that.
Yeah. My suggestion is I like it, but let's sideline it, if that makes sense.
Alright. Next thing with, well, before we move to the next thing that I wanted to talk about on this section, was there anything else that you guys wanted to go over on this section in general?
On this section, no, but I did still want to bring up 2 discussion points that we got. And we only have like half an hour, so I just want to make sure to get that out there that there are 2 discussion points.
Okay. In that case, real quick, what I wanted to bring up with this, full transformation. Right now, I'm debating between kind of going the route that Wild Shape does in 5th edition, where you basically get a brand new health pool for the animal that you're taking over. I'm kind of planning the base stability is going to be 100. So it's something that you're probably going to go unstable with unless you've really invested into the shape-shifting mechanic as a whole. But how do you guys feel about it basically lasting until your... It would work like 5th edition druids. You take on the form of an animal, you've got the animal's health pool. Once that's depleted, you revert.
I abused the living heck out of that as a druid.
Yeah, I know it's definitely very abusable, but...
I'm fine putting in capstone-like abilities like that. It's just we need to make sure that it is properly costed, and I think as a starting cost, 100 is probably as good as we can get.
I'm okay with it as the initial thing. As I said, we're setting a precedent, so we just need to make sure that everything that we do from there on has a capstone like that.
Well, full transformation is currently 20 XP, but like I said, the stability cost would be a baseline 100.
Yeah.
It's a capstone.
Yeah.
It is a capstone.
No disagreements there.
Okay, and you guys are good with the idea of, they get that second health pool of the animal and then revert once that's gone, probably burning the stability?
Oh, yeah, probably. Yeah, it would have to be a stability burn mechanic, but yeah.
Yeah, because at that point in time, you basically burnt that form out. You're not going back to it anytime soon.
All right. Raharu, could you make notes of that, please?
About the second health pool?
Yep.
Yes. Second health pool, baseline 100 stability for full transformation.
Yes, Kitty.
And then, like I had posted in ScarDev, Tal, I would like you to come up with some generic animal stats.
Yeah, I can make some balanced stats.
Yeah. I figured tier 1 through 4, like we've done with everything else. And probably just have it in there that they can only take whatever form they're closest to there. With attributes.
Yeah, I'll just have to make sure to, hard hit exactly where the balance is going to lie there, but yeah.
Alright.
It's just more me... I'm gonna have to crunch some numbers.
Yeah, I figured. And no huge... if possible, by the end of the month would be awesome, but... not a huge deal if it's not.
Yeah, I can try, but I will say right now, my work is about to kick into absolute overdrive because Amazon seller.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
So I can try. I cannot guarantee shit right now.
All right. So next order of business, you wanted to talk about stuff, Tal, and then we're going to get to that survey for Era. So let's try to get through things.
So there were 2 discussion points that we were going to bring up. First discussion point was if we want bonuses for cleanse if they get double the DC. Like, let's say the DC is 5 and they get 10 successes. Do we want them to be able to cleanse out 2 stacks of something? If they're clearing a condition?
I am good with that.
I'm fine with that.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So, I think if they do get double and they only have one stack, then they can cleanse something else, which will follow the same mechanics as the whichever feat it was that lets you do 2 effects.
Yeah.
So go ahead and make notes of that, Raharu, please.
Say that again.
Cleanse, if they get over double the D, or equal to or over the double the DC, they get to cleanse twice, basically. That'll be enough for me to word it properly. And then, yeah, the other discussion point, prevent AoE an additional target hitting the same person at once.
Technically speaking.
Yeah, that was an oversight. Personally, I think that they can only have one or the other, AoE or additional target. Well, probably we put in that they can only have one form of AoE, which I think all of those are under the same category. Let me double check.
We'll have to double check. I think they are, but obviously, like...
Yeah, I'm checking the table. Right. They're alongside the range ones, but that's fine. Yeah, all of the AoE and additional targets are there, so we'll just say they can only have one. That's what I would say for balancing.
What about if a move, like, if a move has both multiple targets and AoE, you have to choose which one you're using when you're using it. You can't use both at the same time. Because I could see someone wanting to have a move that has an AoE and multi-target, but just not using them both at the same time.
I'm okay with that.
Same.
Because, like, you know, there could be a thing where someone goes, oh, hey, I want this to have, like, you know, a line attack if I put it, like, if I focus it, or otherwise, like, you know, a bunch of beams spread out or something, like, you know. Something like, you know, maybe like Hunter's Eyes, where it's like, oh, hey, you have, like, a bunch of, like, multi-target, but you want to put, like, some lines on it to have it, like, you know, chew.
Yeah, I don't want them to be able to be like, okay, and I'm going to put a line here, and a line there, and a line there, and a line there. I don't want that.
Yeah, which is technically possible right now.
Yeah, we want to prevent that.
It's just that no one really, like, used it or abused it or anything, so I was just like, I mean... I wasn't sweating it.
Alright. So, Raharu, go ahead and make note. AoE and additional target, you could only use one form of AoE at a time. Got that, Raharu?
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
Thank you. Okay, and then the survey era.
Yep, I apologize. I tried to make it a little bit more interesting. I also had limited time because, unfortunately, my work has gotten a little kick-arsery recently. So it's a lot of the same, over and over and over again. I could not think of a better way of wording it. I made sure to write an opening. If you want to read over that.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at it real quick. Did you
is that-
send it to the others as well?
I sent it to... I haven't sent it to Seda yet because I'm trying to find him in my list and I can't. So I'm just going to do it this way. Seda, where are you? There you are. And I might as well send it to Raharu. But Tal has it, you have it.
I would say just remove the do you have the character sheet open question, because that just feels condescending.
It's a joke. It's supposed to be funny. That's why one of the answers is maybe.
Fair enough.
It is also the only one of 2 required questions on this entire survey.
Fair enough.
But do you have it open?
Though actually, I you know what? I know it's meant to be a joke, but you know what I feel like actually be a very valid question to change it to?
What?
Versions your character sheet.
What's that?
What version of the character sheet are you have open?
Oh, I have the link to the Scar character sheet in the top. So.
Oh no.
No. Because I know people were using like version 1.2 still.
Yeah, no, I only changed from version 2.2 to version 1.4 like a week ago.
I need a list of character sheet versions.
Yeah. So the only ones you're really gonna run into is 2.2, 1.2.2, 1.3.0, 1.3.1, 1.4.0.
I actually suggest you just make that a fill-in.
I was going to suggest that same thing. Just make it a line that they can just type in.
Because I feel like priming it'd be like, wait, my character sheet's that out of date is.
Yeah, because the problem is I did write the survey specifically to the current character sheet.
But I feel like it's good to know.
Okay.
But also, it's just...
I'll include it. Actually, I could just add that right now. Why am I waiting? I don't have to wait. I click here. I click here. And what?
All right.
Are you currently using? Okay. Short answer. Done. And I will make that a do you want that required?
Yes.
Done. Yeah. If you refresh, it'll update. See, I was really tempted, and unfortunately Google Forms doesn't let me do this, but other software I use at my work does, where when you answer a certain way, it'll pop up another question depending on the answer. So if Google Sheets could have done that, do you have your character sheet open? You click no, it would have popped up with a do you have your character sheet open now? No. Do you have your character? I was very tempted. No,
it is actually something you can do.
Yeah.
See, now you're tempting me into pulling a prank, and you guys really want me to include that? No, you don't.
The interest of getting usable feedback, definitely not.
I'm fine with a little bit of japery and shenanigans, but yeah, no, we do need to make sure we're actually getting, feedback from people.
It's a temptation. I didn't do it, obviously.
Yeah.
Though it would have been funny. No, I would have stopped at 99 instances, Meryl. Specifically 99. The last prompt would have just said, okay, fine, I'm sorry for asking.
Should have stopped at 69, is all I'm saying.
So now I have to learn how to use Google Forms, because if they have dependencies, I can change some of these to dependencies, but do I want them to be dependencies? Maybe not. It starts to get repetitive after a while, so I apologize in advance, then.
That's fine.
It's a survey.
Hey, even if it's repetitive, they could technically breeze past whatever questions they don't actually feel like answering.
Yes, now there's 3 required questions on this survey.
I think you should clarify spend points.
The spent points section is its header. I can attempt. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Let me find it though, because it should be in spent. Not in here. I need it over here. Control find SPENT, because it's supposed to be in I didn't say there. I said here. There we go.
To be fair, Candy Floss, Shade makes everything a joke. Or at least tries to.
There. Now it's between the two whatchamacallits. So it should be more clear. They're all supposed to be like that, but apparently they're not. What happened? Did I do a dumb? I was rushing. Yesterday was not a fun day.
Just as a, a very minor suggestion, since you are kind of repeating a couple of the same questions, but for like different aspects of the character sheet, have you thought about maybe moving those to different sections?
If you could tell me how to create section breaks, I will happily do so.
Essentially what that would do is allow you to basically separate each aspect out into its own page of the form.
Yeah, what do I need to do that specifically?
Give me 1 second, okay, so when you're editing your questions and you're like hovering over a section, you know how you have that little slip of a bar to the right that has like the plus, the page, the font settings and stuff? The very bottom of that is add section.
Oh.
So if you want to make it like a little bit clearer that you're separating this out for like, the armor categories or the quick reference category, you could just move that to a separate section. It does mean you are breaking. It does mean you're breaking it up, so it won't be as easy to see how many you have to do overall. But it's a thought, because
no, I would prefer to do that because it'll remove it from one page. As I said, I don't use Google Forms at work. We use Jot Forms, so it's a lot. I'm used to those tools.
I personally wish I could just like change the colors of each of the boxes just so I can make it either rainbow color or basically be like, hey, here's a section header, as opposed to going to a different page, but that's an option.
Yeah, they have theme colors, which I haven't even touched. But
can't make the question boxes different theme colors, and it disappoints me.
I will include breaks.
I think this looks good personally, though.
Because I was sitting there, I was like, man, this is getting long. I wish I could break this up. How do you do that? I don't know. Also, yesterday, as I said, was a bad day, so I was sitting there like...
Also, can you make sure to add me as a editor on here? Just so I can actually see the...
Yes. As soon as I remember how to do that. Forms is so weird. It doesn't act like the other Google things, so it always confuses me. Because I know you did it for me.
Yeah, because I wanted you guys to be able to check the data as it was coming in and make, like, minor edits if you thought it was necessary.
There it is. Taldarius, which I believe is that one, and there it is. I have you in here twice. I have to double check the spelling of your name again because one of these has to be wrong.
Pet pet the rat.
Let me know if you get this, Taldarius.
Pet pet the Dio.
You get that?
Was it like an email? Let me open my email.
Yep, should be an email. I'll add breaks.
Alright, cool. I got it.
Cool, then I don't have to... I don't know what this other person is then. It is you, but it is spelled differently.
Evil twin brother.
But how do we know that Taldarius isn't technically the evil one here?
Touche.
Taldarius, are you the evil twin brother?
I don't know. I think we're like, you know the thing where it's like there's a good twin or an evil twin, but it's like, you look at them side by side and one is like, technically speaking, like a single RGB value lighter or darker than the other.
I think we're talking about the difference between chaotic evil and lawful evil. Be both evil. different flavors of evil.
Also, we need to know what gods are involved so we know what the definition of evil in this universe particularly is.
Asher just waves at you.
Oh, that's a problem.
What's the problem?
I don't want to do chores, so I can't be evil anymore.
Just wait until Asher figures out necromancy.
Oh no!
I'm surprised you're not commenting on the last question there, Zim.
I mean, I'm okay with the last question. I was more expecting Tao to comment on it.
Oh, I already saw that. The thing is, I don't have to respond to this thing.
Good.
Why would I respond to it? I'm the one who makes the sheet. I don't gotta respond to this shit.
Lol. Okay, I'll get some breaks in to break it up, and then I will send it out when it's done. Do you want me to just throw it somewhere in particular, Zim?
Give it to me or let me know, and I'll handle posting it.
Okay, no worries. I'll probably do that tomorrow. Granted, my work death is swift and painless.
Well, I think we are done here then. I know I've but some ideas for the magic system, and that is something that I really want to get out there sooner rather than later. But that is something that still somewhat on the back burner.
Hold on, I need to go fix something real quick. I'll see you for again.
I'm just trying to see this, Master, but with the holidays coming up, I just don't expect a lot of people to have time.
For
the dev work, I believe. Because I don't know about the others, but for me, I know I'm gonna be swamped.
Fair.
I mean, I'm a no-lifer, so it's all good.
Yeah,
Oh, I see what he's fixing.
Who's fixing what?
Tell Darius is fixing the server. Digi was still logged in, I guess.
Ah.
Oh.
You should probably go ahead and close up your stream, though.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, thank you everybody for joining us today for this DevTales session. Check out our website, cgfgaming.com. We got links for our Discord, Telegram, Mastodon, Blue Sky, Patreon, and more. There on the website as well as down in the description below through our link tree. Thank you to my patrons, tippers, and subscribers. You guys are the ones that make all of this possible. I cannot do these streams without your help and your support, so thank you. Consider becoming a patron over at patreon.com/zgfgaming. It's one of the best ways to support the channel, though you can also do so by sharing the stream around, as well as coming by, hanging out, picking up packs of cards through stream loots, or by using our Humble Bundle partner link. And you can also help out by checking out our SCAR system and letting us know what you all think of it. But for now, thank you so much for joining, and I bid you the most fondest adieu.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You're cute.